I never directly spoke about Mexican OT or whatever the big 300-pound Mexican guy is that said, I'm going to say the N-word because I grew up around N-words. I want to cosplay N-words. I want to dress like them. I want to make music like them. And who is going to do something? First of all, he said that after Cleopatra, who is a Nigerian American, asked him, why does he feel like he could say the N-word or why does he say it?
Do you feel like you could say the N-word?
I feel like I can say it, but not because of that, and I'm gonna tell you why. I wish there was some black dudes in here.
There are.
Behind you. And there's one right here.
Not.
Okay, well, we're gonna use him. What the fuck are you gonna do about it, you know?
I just seen another African woman who's probably first gen, because I think that's what she said, get up here and make it seem like, oh, y'all just use this moment to be xenophobic, and the way he responded was very aggressive, and she's a woman, and there were so many black women in that room, and she reacted in a way that, ma'am, shut the fuck up, because Cleopatra did not have to ask that man that question in the first place. And I'm going to say this. If you are not a black American with a long lineage in this country, if your ancestors were not whipped, chained, tortured, eaten, if your hair was not used to stuff pillows and chairs with, if the babies in your direct lineage was not fed to crocodiles as used as alligator bait. Literally, white people in this country used to use our skin as leather and make shoes out of it. They would take our body parts and take them home and eat it. They literally consumed us, our blood. That is Black American history. If you do not have that type of relation to the N-word, then I don't think that you should be concerned with who could say it or who cannot. Why are you concerned with that? There's lots of things going on back home in whatever country it is that you come from initially, your lineage, I'm sure that you could concern yourself with. I'm sure there's plenty of things in your homeland that you could be an advocate for. Worrying about who's saying the N-word and lying and making it seem like we're all just xenophobic because we are setting boundaries and telling y'all to chill out is utterly insane. The gaslighting is ridiculous. And then this woman went on to say the word tether is a slur. Now y'all saying words are slurs that literally was never a slur. It's not a slur. It's a descriptor. It's a description word. Tether is not a slur. Your people were not tortured while being called tethers. If anything, being a tether is a privilege because you are able to come and migrate here and have the freedoms and the liberties because of the people that you're tethering yourself to. Because you look like us. We share the same hue of complexion. Phenotypically, we're similar. So it is a privilege to be a tether. Y'all want to make up new slurs, yet we're telling y'all that everybody should not be running around saying the N-word. And because we're setting that boundary, y'all are calling us xenophobic. Cleopatra should have never asked that man that question in the first place. No, I didn't see not one fully black woman in that room. The other lady was a Caribbean, and Angela Lee is Asian. So where was the fully black American with lineage, with a direct relation to that word, whose ancestors suffered at the hand of it? I was called that as a child growing up in Brooklyn, New York. People that just got here, where they from, nobody was calling them the N-word as a racial slur. This is really pissing me off, and this conversation is getting played the fuck out. Mind your manners, stay in your lane. I would never move to Nigeria, bear children there, and tell my kids. I would never move to South Africa, have a child, and tell my kid, this is your place, you have a right to what their culture and their history is, and you could tell these mothers shut the fuck up because you know more than them about them. I would never do that. That's insane, and it's disrespectful. Spread love is to Brooklyn.
Man, this not even like that. You gotta be from Texas to understand our culture over here. Mexicans rock with blacks, blacks rock with Mexicans. We all love each other. We came from the same struggle and everything, so you know we rock with each other over here. It ain't nothing more, ain't nothing less. We are a big family over here. Come from the same struggle, so you know we rock with each other. And that's what it is. Some people hate to see that, so that's why they don't like when that shit happens.
I'm out here because I'm first generation African American. My parents are from Ghana. It took my mom over 30 years to get her visa, okay? It's not that easy, and I will be damned if anybody thinks that like I'm not her American dream. So we're here, we're representing, we stand with LA, we stand with Mexico. We're all just one people, and yeah, we need to be out here showing our support. And I live downtown too, and what's happening down here, like if this is where it's gonna start, then this is where it's gonna start.
So, I'm in one of the family's lives last night here on TikTok, and I'm just listening in. But this guy comes up, he claimed to be Black American and Dominican. I don't believe him, though. And y'all got to watch that. People will try to claim some of the lineage here in order to try to get their talking points across, just so they can get their foot in the door. Now, he was very adamant about proving us to be African. Very adamant. And he asked for receipts. Now the family brought plenty of receipts from personal standpoints, from archaeological standpoints. I mean, just all across the board. Brought receipts, right? And he kept wanting more and more receipts. Okay? But here's my question. Why are Black Americans the only people who get targeted about being African? Why? Y'all don't do that to the Chinese people. If y'all saying that life started in Africa, everybody comes from Africa. Chinese people don't claim to be African. The Japanese, people in South America, hell, the red Native Americans here, Europeans, nobody gets targeted for being African but Black Americans. Literally nobody else. And y'all know I'm telling the truth. So that's a question. Why us? Why do y'all want us to be African so bad? I'm not African. I never been to Africa. Don't care to go to Africa. I have nothing against Africa or Africans. I have a problem with people trying to tell us who we are. We know who we are. We know who we are. And I'm not African. Not even by a long shot. All right? But that is the question. Why are we the only people who have to hold the banner of being African?
All right, so we have quite a few things, right? So again, we have the beautiful Black woman at the front that was going over the whole thing, dealing with the OT Mexican, whatever the dude's name directly is, that stated that if he does say it, what are you going to do about it, right? And again, he was saying this in a room full of immigrants, right? He wasn't saying this in front of a group or in a city where you have Black people that are directly on that type of time, where it's like, okay, you think that you're going to say whatever it is, we're going to show you. If you're not going to listen, we're going to show you specifically what it is that you mean, and hopefully you respect what it is that takes place. And within that, touching on the fact of all of these people and how it is that they want to state a variety of things, how they want to go about things on social media. And the most interesting part for me was the fact that she stated that now you have Africans and other melanated individuals who are now trying to say that Tether is a slur. Since when? Since when was it a slur? Historically speaking, in the United States, when has that ever been a slur where it was used against you as your people were getting sold? As she stated, your children were getting used as alligator bait, as Caucanites were doing picnics, as they were burning crosses in front of your yards, as they were bombing your neighborhoods, as they were burning down your towns and your cities, as they were displacing you around the United States, as they were rebranding and renaming you. When at any point in time has the word tether ever been used? It hasn't. And this is what I tend to bring up and talk about when it is that you have a lot of individuals out here who want to go out on this limb, and they were like, oh, but if we really want to talk about it, Black people are some of the most racist people. This is that type of talk right there. This is that type of talk. Now, I want people to understand that the Black Americans are the only group out here that gets targeted like this. You'll have some others like, oh, well, white people have been sitting up there dealing with that. First of all, historically, white people, y'all just have been racist, historically speaking, factually speaking, right? There are documentaries, there are movies directly about this. There are, written videos. Matter of fact, orally, you guys have specifically shown up and stated historically what it is that you guys have done and would do if given a chance to go back and do the exact same things again, or if times would allow it now, if the rules, the laws, and regulations would allow you to do the exact same things, act the exact same way that you guys were in the past, you would do it right now. And you guys have openly stated that. And this is one of the main things that you guys want to, we need to go back to those times and da-da-da-da, and rah. Right? But at the end of the day, white people have only been really feeling this for a little bit of time because in general, you really didn't hear this much about it. In a sense, they can hear a lot about it now because we got the internet and they decide to be on the internet and they have their algorithm set to hear black people, right? What it is that we complain about, talk about, whatnot, or whatever, right? Whatever it is that we showcase or the conversations that we're having, just specifically within our grouping. They decide that they want to be there. They could be anywhere else online, but they tune their algorithm specifically to what black Americans are doing and talking about because they don't know how to just be by themselves. They don't know how to just stick specifically in their area amongst their topics and just deal with that. Somehow, some way, they make it over yonder. Now you have the immigrants of other African, Caribbean, whatnot, or whatever. Now they're trying to formulate and come together with the Latins, Mexicans, whatnot, and try to say that black Americans are xenophobic. Trying to say that we are racist towards all these other groups. And this is all stemming from the fact that black Americans are simply putting boundaries and telling people like, yo, we don't want y'all to say this. We don't want people to take part in the things that we do because all y'all do is take, and y'all don't appreciate, respect, value, and give anything back. It's not a symbiotic relationship. And because you start to dictate to people and tell them you are no longer able to take from me, this is when people's true colors directly show forth because they feel like you're stealing from them. They feel like that you're taking something from them that belongs to them. Whatever it is that black Americans have created and made specifically for themselves out of this big blue ball is specifically ours. We do have a say so, irregardless on however it is that other people decide to fill it out. I don't care if you got a one parent that is black American. Again, I come from, and many others come from two parents, black American. I'm not dealing with all of this other type of nonsense where people are half and half. Again, things get muddled, and when it comes all down to it, people are going to play for the home team, which ends up being not the black American side. They're going to play for the other side because that's the household that they were raised in. Those are the I would like to say the properties. Those are the facilities, right? That were managed for them to be specifically in, the things specifically given directly to them. You can see this even when it deals with other people that are biracial. They will tend to side with the non-black side versus the black side. Right? Again, I gave you guys a video about that about a month and a half ago, where this biracial kid wanted to go on a tangent talking about, how much he dislikes black people and black people are some of the most rudest, disrespectful customers and yada, 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 yada. And everybody else is just so pleasant and nice. I'm like, man, you fighting an inside battle. And you need to get offline. And he clearly stated that within that. In another snippet, he was stating and crying like, oh my God, Booger's offline. Oh my God, I'm so broken. And this, that, and the third. And I'm looking for help. I'm like, yeah, we know that you're broken because you're coming from two different worlds. You have two separate individuals that came together and put something inside of a vessel, right? Of which the vessel was his own person. It's from two different worlds. It's not from one and it's not from the other. It's from both. And both of those people who came together cannot give you the specific knowledge that you need in order to mentally be sound and prepared, and to also have the type of unfaltering stance when you walk out here in society. So not only are you judged by society, not only are you judged by either one of the families that you come from, but you're also judging yourself. It's confusion, and confusion wrapped in chaos. This is why a lot of these biracial kids, they don't know what it is that, you know, they specifically identify with, because they're just confused all the way around, because nobody could actually specifically give them, you know, anything. So that's the way I technically tend to look at it. When it deals with a lot of these situations. And then, you know, of course, going back to the whole thing about trying to say that black people are xenophobic and whatnot or whatever. Again, you got all of these groups trying to come together to formulate Voltron in order to fight black Americans, because we're the big bad guys directly out here supernaturally. It's crazy. There's a whole bunch of other things out here that people should be fighting, but magically all of this attention is being given directly to black Americans. I wonder why. We had the other two videos, one of which had to do with a woman that was from whatnot or whatever, and she said that she's African American. This is why I specifically stated to people why black people need to separate certain language, and a lot of things need to be reworded and rewritten historically, because what's going to inevitably end up happening is that once we get the term black American to stick, you're going to have all of those that identify as African American who are from Africa. They're going to then come in and say that, oh, well, since you guys have, you know, made the branding for yourself, and this is exactly what it is that you hold, and you know, have dictated to everybody that you're black Americans, and you no longer hold value or whatnot or whatever when it deals with African Americans, this is basically us, because we are both African from Africa and America, because we are in America. So all of this history and everything that is written is obviously talking about us, our lineage, and our people, right? So again, this is when there needs to be certain things put specifically in place, because you don't need people who have never been here to just come through and to be able to claim a title and try to hold that crown, because again, it was not for them. We're dealing with the same individuals that never claimed us at all. They weren't looking for us 400 years back or whatnot, whatever. They never sent any type of ships to come get us. They just let it be, right? And this is what they stated historically, right? Africans set up there and sold us, and from many tribes, and slave trade and transatlantic trades to, you know, the Caribbean, to South America, to Canada, to North America, right? All of that good stuff, right? So these people never cared about us, but yet here they are directly on American soil, and they're clearly stating who it is that they are, and they will make sure to always let you know that they are different from you and you are different from them. So last but not least, we have the black gentleman that was in a car, and he was specifically speaking on the fact that he was in this live stream, more than likely TikTok or whatnot, whatever, and he was listening, and he was able to hear that somebody, or rather African or whatnot, was specifically coming in there and dictating to black people, like, okay, show me proof that you're not African and all this other type of stuff. Why do we have to show you anything? That's my main thing. Why even come to our spaces? Isn't there a lot of trauma? Isn't there a lot of damage? Isn't there a lot of things over in Africa that need to be built? Why isn't, I've seen this myself on TikTok, YouTube, and many other platforms, where these African individuals will come directly in. We'll have a black Americans are having their own discussion, and then they'll just decide to insert themselves. It doesn't matter if they're from Africa or if they're just from UK, or even if they're in the United States. Any which of the three, they will decide to show up when nobody asked them to be there. Again, these are people that are guests, and they decide that they want to impose themselves onto a conversation. They decide that they want to switch up the topic because they don't like the way that the topic is going, or what people are specifically talking about. Like I said before, this is what it looks like. Black Americans can have their own thing going, and other people will see that we're doing our own thing, having fun and whatnot or whatever, and then here they come trying to insert themselves. For what? What is the purpose? Don't you have your own people? Like y'all say, y'all got tribes, languages, history, and all this other type of stuff. What is the need? What is the fascination with coming into Black American spaces and trying to get us to prove that we're not African? If we're telling you that we're not, that's all that needs to be said. And like the gentleman said before, if we go back far enough, everybody has stated that the cradle of civilization is Africa, right? You got the out of Africa theory, right? where life started there and everybody just spread out, and over the hundreds of thousands or whatnot amount of years, this is how you got everybody that is everybody and whatnot or whatever, right? But everything started in Africa. But the oddest part is a lot of these Africans would never go into a Chinese live stream or a chat and try to dictate to Chinese people, oh, prove to me that you're actually Chinese and not African. They'll never go to the Caribbeans, or they'll never go to those in South America and try to, oh, well, prove to me that you're just South American and not African. Prove to me that you're just Jamaican and not African. Prove to me that you're just Caribbean and not They don't do this to no other group out here. No other group has to show proof that they are who it is that they are. It's always Black Americans who have to prove stuff to everybody else. Like I said before, people have to realize and people have to understand that there is something about Black Americans as to why it is that a lot of nations or groups out here have such a fixation directly on the smallest minority on this whole planet. Black Americans, smallest minority on this planet, right? But yet there's such a huge fixation by those from other areas. You got Africans in the UK. They sit up there and open their mouths and they want to talk about us. You got Africans in Africa. They want to open their mouth and talk about us. Africans in Europe, they want to do the exact same things. People from the islands, Caribbeans, whatnot, they want to sit up there and speak. Immigrants in the United States, they want to open their mouths and speak. You like I said, you got people all over the world who at one point in time decided that they wanted to open their mouth and start speaking about Black Americans in a negative type of way. A lot of these groups can't even really list you anything positive about Black Americans, but yet they copy the culture. They try to emulate and copy the swag, the vibe, right? Whatever mode we're in, they're trying to sit up there and just drive around and be that. But you're missing the whole thing of people are supposed to be themselves, which is crazy. A lot of people like to say that, oh, you know, I'm myself and whatnot or whatever, but if I look around, I'm seeing a lot of people speaking in Ebonics, right? And that was listed as a negative, right? That people were saying like, oh, if you speak Ebonics and whatnot, you're obviously not educated. You didn't fully make it through school and whatnot. But yet I'm looking at Asians, Japanese or Chinese, right? Speaking some type of Ebonics or, African American, as they say, or I would sit up there and just reclassify it as Black American vernacular. You see Africans do it, and some of them look like they stuck in the early 2000s. That whole type of thing. Walk it out, right? You got those over there in the UK especially. And I'm like, it's a little bit weird. And as I've stated to people before, somebody has to make a study on how it is that African women, and everything is supposed to be just straight natural over there in Africa, right? I'm looking at African women that both bleach their skin, right? Praise white men. On top of that, they are Americanizing themselves because now they're wearing like the sew-ins, lace fronts, whatnot or whatever, right? They're wearing the installs. And I'm like, that's a little bit weird. I'm like, that should be more so. I understand Black women in America doing it because of how the society works. But African women doing what it is that Black American women are doing, knowing the fact that over there in Africa, they don't have to go through the exact same things. They can literally see themselves in ads. They can see themselves in fashion. They can see themselves all the time if they even have commercials. However it basically works in advertising, they can see themselves. So for those women to decide that they need to westernize themselves, like I said, I'm baffled. I'm horribly baffled by that. Like I said, I look at African women and I can't really I can, in a sense, facially, but you can't really differentiate, right? When you start looking at the fashion, when you start looking at how people, want to show themselves off and do this and do, like I said, it's all types of crazy. But again, it's a copy from the original, which is Black Americans. But like I said, Black Americans don't get credit unless it's something negative. That's the only time that people want to happen to give, Black Americans any, type of credit on anything, right? But anyways, like I said before, we're living at a time period where you have a lot of individuals out here that want to specifically target Black Americans, instead of trying to target the systems of which have placed them in the circumstances that they're in. Africans, y'all need to sit up there and deal with Europe. You need to deal with Great Britain, the UK, the king, queen, whoever's, you know, up there at this moment in time. Anybody that's from South America, you need to start dealing with your South American government, because they are the reason that you are in those circumstances. They're also one of the main reasons that you guys are so whitewashed, and you have the belief of, you know, white being purity, and you want to be white-like and all this other type of stuff. Like I said, it's crazy work. Black Americans have consistently been the main group fighting the government tooth and nail, a variety of different ways. And none of these people 100% have been there for that fight. They've been able to profit from whatever fights and struggles and things that we've been able to get past, whatever marches, you know, that we've done, whatever protests we've done. But when it comes to an end, at the end of the day, those people don't really support. They're not really there. Like I said, people love to emulate black people, but when it's time to actually be black, they are nowhere to be found. Like I said, a lot of these Latins, they want to sit up there and say the N-word. Yeah. When it's actually time to put feet on the ground and to really do something, they're nowhere to be seen. They're going right back to factory, reset. Me no black, me no black. They going right back to that. Like I said, it's crazy work, but people always want to make it seem as though that Black Americans are the problem, and really it's everybody else. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this video and everything that I listed in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.